nine, eight.
You want to experience comic culture in sales? Streaming live daily at Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and you are watching Best Coast Comics, a show where we talk about all the comic book news and what's going on in the comic book scene. Across a lot of movie talk this week with D23 going on, some CGC stuff going on, of course, because every week there has to be. Now, this is Best Coast Comics, and I'm usually joined by my awesome co-host, Big B McFly, the comic book guy. And I probably will be as well here in a few minutes. He's just running a little bit late to the show, so I just wanted to explain real fast what's going on with that. But hey to everybody out there watching, I really appreciate it. Just a quick reminder, not only are you streaming on the Bronze Age Nerd YouTube channel, also the Big B McFly, the comic book guy channel, we're also streaming over on the EXP channel on YouTube. Fantastic channel with lots of great shows. Links to all those channels are actually in the description below. Although this week's a little different because we're not actually streaming to YouTube on their channel. Let's just say YouTube did some stuff to their channel. And I'll leave it at that, basically. There was some links that got shared for a Kickstarter, and unfortunately, YouTube had some problem with it. And so they're not able to stream for like a couple more days, probably. And hopefully everything will get sorted out over there. But you could be watching over on their Twitch. You could be watching over on their Facebook, on their Instagram. Lots of other fun places where you can check out their streams. So real fast, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. GT Key Comic was in here early. I always appreciate that. There's Big B McFly, who's going to be coming in here pretty soon, I think. Hey, we got Comic Tropes in the chat. Make a show, sing and dance. Oh my gosh, no one wants to see that, Chris. Well, I mean, if you like comedy, you might want to see that. That's a good point. Maybe people like comedy. That I can respect that for sure. Got Preston in here. Really appreciate that. Thanks for being here, Preston. Brandon talking about some YouTube shenanigans that happened earlier in the week on my channel. We'll talk about the Zero Ghost Kickstarter launch from 24/7 Comics here in a little bit, where that happened, and we'll talk about that stream. It was a lot of fun, but there was some shenanigans for sure. Psycho Phil in the house, Richard Westfall. So from the West Coast, so a lot of California stuff there in the intro. I've trimmed it down because we have that intro that's designed to get us past the YouTube ads that most people see. Without missing any of the actual show. And I just created a little short version of mine. The longer version has more stuff from like Portland and the Northwest and all over the West Coast and Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, stuff like that too. So all over the West. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. Hey, you know what, Chris? You already do a very long and awesome, I might add, show on YouTube for news. I would love to have you on the co-host or as a guest sometime. That would be fantastic. I think, Bibby and I had a really good time with you at Washington State SummerCon. Love to see you on. Yo, Ferdbird the Nerd, another Northwest guy, holding it down. How's it going, Ferdbird? Glad to see you here. Dan's X-Men Comics, another Northwest guy in the chat. In fact, he's one of the guys going to Terrificon with Big B McFly, the comic book guy, here pretty soon. So that's really cool. Yeah, you do put them in timeout. And I'll get into that for sure a little bit. Yep, the googly eyes are always up to their shenanigans. And Jay, who's our producer on this show, he's one of the producers over at The Experience, says hopefully they'll be back on YouTube this Wednesday. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, that's our goal here. So I've said hi to everybody, and I really appreciate you being here. That was very nice of Chris to say thanks, to hit the thumbs up, and I do appreciate that as well. So the very first thing that I want to talk to before I get into anything else, and this is extremely important to me, and there's actually people in this chat that have helped with this in the past. So that's really important to me to talk about that with them as well. If you're watching this, I have officially kicked off my campaign for 2024 Heroes for Heroes. And I'm going to share the campaign with this real fast, and I'll put the link into chat. This is the campaign landing page. There's some things getting reformatted. The banner image that I created for Cap here didn't get sized correctly on their site, but this is actually on Mission 22's actual website. Mission 22 is a charity. Every 100% of their proceeds go to helping veterans and their families prevent mental health crises and veteran suicide. That's their primary focus. And they are a fantastic organization. I've worked with a lot of people in the comic book community that are veterans. They all back this charity. At least the ones I've talked to, they all support it. Say it's one of the good charities. It actually does a lot of real work for veterans. There's a couple they recommended. This one unanimously seemed to get the vote. So that's the charity I went with. I'm going to paste that into chat right now so you guys can go check it out if you want to. And right now you can see we have 109 days left. It's going to happen on Veterans Day, which is 11/11. And our goal this year, I set the goal for $8,000. To date, we've raised like 8,900 and some change. I actually have it down here in the campaign. What have we raised? 8,964. So I've done 2 years of this previously. The first year it was like almost 1,000, I want to say. I'm trying to remember what it was. And then last year we did much better. So I'm hopefully going to be able to do some really good work for this, some outreach. I've already got donated items, signed mini guitars, which is really cool, from Jamie Tyndall. I've got Jim Starlin signed a bunch of prints at Washington State Summer Con, and I've got a bunch of feelers out there. You know, we've had Ivan Tao, and we've had Ron Garney do art. We've had guys like Comic Tropes have put art. There's actually hanging back up here on my wall. I've got a Baroness sketch he did. Oh, that is awesome. I'll donate the Rogue and Gambit drawing I shared this week if you can auction. Yes, we can add that's amazing. We can absolutely auction that for something. See, that's the kind of support that I love to see from people, and I really appreciate that. So thank you. It does not need to be G.I. Joe art. That's something that I did primarily because I thought, patriotic. There's a lot of G.I. Joe fans that watch the channel. I'm going to try to be a little bit more varied and try to hit a lot of the popular stuff this year if I can. So yeah, I really appreciate that. That's really awesome of you, Chris. I appreciate all your help. And I will straight up say, Comic Journey was in here last year. He's in here last year. He did a stream where live art was drawn and people donated as the art was being drawn, and they were bidding on the pieces. And that was a fantastic stream. I don't expect him to do that again this year. I know that was a very hard thing for him to do, but I very much appreciate that as well. So give a shout out to Comic Journey, who is always intrigued by shenanigans, for doing that, and I very much appreciate it. So you're going to see a lot more about Heroes for Heroes coming out. I think I'm going to create some unique social media accounts just for Heroes for Heroes. You're going to see posts from artists and comic creators and comic shops and comic companies like, hey, a lot, Dynamic Forces and Dynamite does a lot of stuff with the EXP. Nick Barucci is very involved in the EXP. He helped out with this last year, Overstreet access, and with Overstreet you have the Overstreet price guide. They donated some items last year. Lots of great companies, so very cool. So we're gonna start doing the campaign a lot earlier this year. So yeah, if you can donate, great. If you can help by sharing, commenting, liking, all that stuff, I very much appreciate it. So that is the Heroes for Heroes news. You'll see continual updates about Heroes for Heroes as time goes on. The next thing, I'll post this link in the chat right now so you can check it out. And I'm just talking about the things that I pretty much can talk about before Big B gets here, which will probably be any minute. I know he's just getting off work and trying to get home. But here is, I pasted it in the wrong spot. Here's a great Kickstarter. And I got a parentheses in there by mistake. So that will not work. I apologize for that. Let me repaste that link. Or you can just not copy the parentheses, but sorry, it was in my show notes under a parentheses. So sorry for the double link there. So what am I talking about? This is a Kickstarter that I was on a live stream for the launch for on Wednesday, called Zero Ghost. Fantastic new comic book. I had a chance to read it early. It's from Justin Jordan and Brian Ching are the writer and the artist, the lead artist on this. This is from 24/7 Comics. They also did an amazing job donating for Heroes last year. We had the Sean Chen piece of Wolverine that got donated last year, a Nick Dragata piece that was donated from them. Scott Eaton we had some pages from him. Hey, what's up, Big B McFly, the comic book guy?
Hey.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you. How are you this evening, sir?
I am all hyped up on caffeine and ready to talk about comic books, my friend.
I'm all hyped up as well. I am massively hyped up.
Yeah, I mean, most people probably don't know. Big B's been working tons of hours at his day job, working around the clock. I didn't expect him to be here tonight, so really cool.
pushed it to make it. I'm gonna make it. So I was calling Bronze like, I'm coming across the bridge to my house.
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it, man. We're always happy to have you here. Of course, obviously you're half of the show. So, oh boy, this is a lot to ask from. On our next live claim sale, maybe. I mean,
hey, I'm wearing the Big B shirt though.
Oh, hey, let me make you big real fast. So, Big B, I get it. That's the wrong view. That's me. That's you. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, you got it in. Nice.
I did. So big thanks to Dr. Plegus. If any of you guys want to reach out to him, he does stickers and shirts and everything. So he made me a big old stack of stickers I'm going to Terrificon later this week, and made me a couple shirts. And so, yeah.
Your mic is a little hot, so you want to turn yourself down and just StreamYard a little bit so we can.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about
that. Richard says sticker people are cool.
Sticker people for life.
Yeah, and I just got that message from Jay too. So yeah, you're a little hot. I thought so on my end, but it's hard for telling you're the only guy I can hear. So
right.
Are you gonna have that's kind of more of a trial run for some stickers you're probably gonna have for your channel later on, I assume? Like maybe when we send out our prizes.
I'll be sending those out with stuff from claim sales and prizes and whatnot. So
awesome.
I am trying to get the camera or the mic settings. Let's see, audio. There we go. Let's turn that down a little bit. Probably because I'm just so amped up. That's why I'm loud. There we go.
Give Scott Snyder a kiss on the forehead at Terrificon.
Okay, I will do that, and I'll tell him it's from Comic Tropes.
All right. And then I should not have done that. There we go.
There we go.
So there are, by the way, I know you probably weren't peeping my show doc that I made here, mostly because I did it for myself because I thought it was just going to be me. There's a lot of stuff to get to, so I'm going to kind of go through this a little quickly, okay?
By all means. I'm just here for the ride.
No, that's awesome. And I'm glad you're here. But this was a great stream. It was like from a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. stream over on the 24/7 Comics channel. My portion of it is on my channel if you want to go back and watch it. But I recommend going to 24/7's Comics channel to watch it. I mean, there was like Jay Lee was on there at one point. I think Sean Chen joined at one point. Swaggle House was there. Tons and tons and tons and tons of all-star people and myself. But cool launch, cool book. I highly recommend checking it out. It's kind of like a magic, urban fantasy, almost like Tokyo. There's a little Death Note in there. It's kind of an amalgamation of a few things. The Shrike character reminds me of the I forgot the character's name from Death Note, but the one that does the killing essentially it's their Death Note. Everybody in chat's gonna remind me in about 5 seconds, but it was really cool.
The killy stabby death person.
Well, he's like the chaos spirit, right, or whatever.
Gotcha,
I think.
Gotcha.
But this is a really cool book. I really enjoyed it. You got a picture of the cool team there. Oh man, that really zoomed. Oh, that's even better. Perfect. Yeah, Justin Jordan was on the stream. Brian Ching, Will Quintana, and Micah Myers. I think all but Micah were on the. Yeah. Well, Light isn't Light the other character that's like his foil? Ryuk. That's who I'm looking for. Yeah, Carl Choi is the dude over at 24/7 Comics. Yeah, he's an awesome dude. Like, he's a really nice guy. He's helped out with Heroes for Heroes, like I mentioned. We had Daniel Wu and Sean Chen on my channel for the Evermind launch, which was also a really great book, by the way. So yeah, I really want you guys to check this out and consider it. You know, you can kind of get a look at it for yourself. It's pretty cool. With all the stuff going on that's happening on this channel, there is some violence coming up later in that comic, so I'm not going to keep scrolling down. If you want to go check it out, please do. I think it's really good, so check it out.
It looks sweet.
To Brandon's comment earlier, about somebody pretending to be him. So we had a real bad troll problem on that stream. I think it was just one person that had like a bunch of YouTube alternate accounts. So if any of that happens during this stream, we'll take care of it pretty quickly. You might see somebody posting as somebody else or pretending to be celebrities, that kind of stuff, saying inappropriate things, and we'll take care of that as quickly as we can on our stream.
Crazy.
First time I've ever had to deal with that. Not to that level. So yeah, that was the Zero Ghost launch. This next one, I don't have like a link to share. This is a really weird one. So there's a really huge Discord server for comic books, and I know some people. I know, like, Big B. I got him on my Discord finally. It took some doing because I think you were a little, like, hey, I don't have notifications and all that kind of stuff, right?
I've been on Discord before and had gotten kind of like over bombarded with notifications and whatnot from Discord.
I hear that a lot from people. And that's totally fair, by the way. But if you don't know what Discord is, it's a little bit like having, I describe it as a little bit like having your own kind of private set of chat rooms, almost like a private subreddit. It's private, like you can make it completely private or you can invite whoever you want in, but the general internet isn't just coming in and saying whatever they want, basically. So a massive Discord server in the comic book scene randomly shut down yesterday. And this is called Department of Comics. You've probably heard me talk about it before. I did like not really collaborations, but some stuff with them. I've had Danny Girl Comics on the channel before. She's an awesome YouTuber. I really reckon she does like statue unboxings and CGC submissions and stuff like that. She did some work for them, and so she, not she, but Department of Comics posted like, hey, we noticed things are kind of slowing down. This is a Discord with almost 1,000 people in it, folks. Like, it's a big server. We noticed things are slowing down. What can we do to make things better? And there was a lot of constructive criticism that came through over the next like hour or so in the stream and in the channel. And all of a sudden, I was getting DMs from people being like, hey, did I get booted from Department of Comics because I was being critical or something? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I go to look for it, and it's not there. The admin of the server just nuked the entire server from orbit because that's the only way to be sure. According to aliens, at least.
That's a good quote.
And man, it was shocking. So there are people I know very well that are admins. They're not admins, but they were mods on this server. And it's a place that I hung out, fairly regularly, especially when it was more active. And I know a lot of people are looking for new homes. So what I'm going to do, the whole point of this was to kind of just give you an idea, a suggestion of 3 new places you could try to get a new home if you're looking for comic book news and comic book discussion that are more private groups. I know a lot of IG chats are out there that people are in. I know some people get sick of those and some people love them. That's totally fine. But I'm just going to suggest a few. And the first one, and I'll post these links in the chat. The first one is just the invite to my Discord server. Big B's there. I'm there.
It's a great server, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got a lot. You've got everything organized so well. That's really nice.
What about the news that Robert Kirkman will be selling his used bathwater? Boy, I'm going to talk about something that rubs up right against an OnlyFans model later, which that's a bad sentence. I understand right away that that's a bad sentence. So that's interesting. I'll have to get that story from you, Chris. No, I didn't know about that. But hey, put me down for 5.
Are you gonna drink it or wash in it or just keep that private?
The most notorious story about OnlyFans is about the bathwater thing is there is somebody who did buy an OnlyFans model's bathwater and drank it and then got sick. Which,
oh no,
I mean, like that's like Tide Pod times a million. You don't drink used bath, especially not old used bathwater. I mean,
right? Well, isn't that a song like I drink your dirty bathwater? So.
Hey, we have different Spotify playlists. That's all I know.
It's like a country song. I just heard it a long time ago. But anyway.
I said Kirkman, but I meant Amaranth. And Amaranth is actually who I'm going to talk about a little bit because there's a new character named Amaranth, which is kind of funny, especially since I know she's rather litigious, meaning that she probably will sue them, I think, for using that name at some point. Whether or not that's something she should do. I've heard that she'll sue over anything. So anyways, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Marvel news is crazy this week. So that's the first server. The second server, like I said, we're actually over on the EXP. So the one I'm going to paste into the chat right now, that is the invite to the EXP's Discord server, which also a great server, especially if you want to follow along with the shows that are coming up on EXP, get previews of the artwork that are going to be like on the original art experience, that kind of stuff. We talk about, Kickstarters and all kinds of fun stuff on there as well. The last one that I'll paste in now is actually from the former co-admin mod of the Department of Comics. He created a server called the Wolves Den. And if you're especially interested in speculation and you're interested in cards and grading cards and getting in on exclusives and Kickstarters, that kind of chat, although there's a lot of other stuff that'll happen in there, that's a great place to go. A lot of the people from Department of Comics are in there already. I mean, I think they've already got 50 members. So they're building up really fast. So those are some Discords I recommend to check out if you're kind of looking for a new home to learn and read about comics and that kind of stuff. So
absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. So moving on from that, I actually want to have you lead this topic a little bit because I know you watched Ryan's video. This is what
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have you kind of lead off a little bit on this, but I'll set it up for you, and then I'll let you kind of tell me what you know about it, because I haven't had a chance to watch this video yet. I just know what I've seen members sharing.
For sure. Yeah, I would be glad to talk about it. I actually think I'm fairly well versed in that one. So let's go ahead.
Oh, fantastic. That's good to hear. So the topic for those wondering in the audience, we're going to talk about CGC has been, CGC is the comic book grading company, if you're not familiar. I really wish I could stop talking about them, but things keep happening. Just for a while, it'd be nice not to talk about them. But it is important news, and this is almost like kind of a PSA, because since May, comic books have been getting damaged simply by the encapsulation process that CGC uses. So that's where this gets a little scary to me, and where I wanted to kind of take a chance to explain that. Now, I know Automatic Comics, who's been on the channel before, friend of the channel, Ryan, has made a video about it that Bigby was recommending I watch. I hadn't had a chance to see it yet, so Bigby, you watched it. You know a little bit more about this, I think, in the nuts and bolts area. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
So what Ryan had to say, he was saying that he's been holding off on having anything done with CGC for a while now, and he was just about ready to tip his toe back in the water, and then he saw some stuff, and he started doing some research, and he said one of the big things, when you get a book slabbed, is it's for the presentation, right? And he said that it doesn't appear that the slabs are damaging books so much as they are accentuating the weak points. Even in like a 9.8 or something like that, when you've got it pressed and everything, it can be nice and flat. But there's always those points when so the deal is, let me backtrack a little bit. The cases, so they said they had a bad batch that came in May, and that's what their excuse was. But people are still getting slabs with these bad batch slabs, and the heating process they're using also, they think that is also causing this. So you can see there in that picture, the book, they say that's what Ryan referred to as a C. So the top of the book is touching at the top, and the bottom of the book is touching at the bottom. But in the middle, there's a bow. And so when you get that bow, it's going to accentuate anywhere where there was even a hint of a spine tick. It's going to make that little flex in the paper, it's not going to be flat, and it's going to show that off. So it's not necessarily damaging them, but it's showing off imperfections that are present in almost every book. And so that's the reason why he is holding off. There's also what they call an S shape, an S curve one, where it kind of does more of it bows in and out. It touches in the middle, the top, the middle, and the bottom. And so that's kind of what he talked about. Yeah, I love
that picture's hilarious.
Yeah, they're trying to describe what's going on there, so they put the bow But yeah, but that's what's going on there. So yeah, no matter whether you've had them perfectly pressed flat and everything. And he said, and then people are cracked. So there's where he's saying we got a bad batch.
Yeah. In May.
Back in May.
15th.
Yeah. They're still cranking out books with those slabs.
Yeah, I've gotten people DMing me about this over the last couple of weeks pretty often. So that's
you
why
see that right there, that little divot there by Mary Jane's eye. So that's is that a 9/8 on that slab?
This one, yeah, 9/8.
9/8. So yeah, so it's a perfect book, but it's going to just accentuate anywhere where there's a weak point. It's not a color breaking spine ticker or anything on there, but it's going to accentuate that when you flex that book. So that's just the way it is.
Oh, here's an even more close-up picture. It does make me wonder, though, now if you pop this out of there, will that have been accentuated to the point where now it is going to be visually obvious enough?
So he said from what he'd been reading, people are cracking them out of the slabs, and then when they do, all the flaws are gone. It's because it's just that flexing of the book is making it show off in the case. And so he's like, obviously you're going to send this. He said it's going to cause more headaches for sellers like himself, where you're going to send this book to somebody and they're going to go, hey, you said this is a 9/8. There's a visible defect in this case. So why is this like that? And so he said that's one reason why he's going to be holding off until they get that fixed. And he said also, so you look at this Diary Secrets, he's like, so you're thinking it's only going to be 9/8 and everything. No, so this Diary Secrets, somebody sent it in to be reholdered. So this is originally the old holder up here, and they reholdered it. And you can see what it did. It shows off all of those imperfections in the spine there.
Yeah,
that you didn't see previously in the other case. So,
yeah, it's one of those things too where it's. I mean, so keep in mind these posts. I know it's a little bit of small text, especially if you're watching on your phone or something. These posts are from like May 16th still. This forum goes right up till today. So like there are still people talking about it, still having issues. And I think a lot of this speaks to what we've talked about in the past. Let's see if anybody has like any recent pictures they put up here or whatever. It speaks to what we've talked about in the past, where it's like, hey, at what point does CGC have enough concerns, right? You start stacking all these concerns that people might have against their services. And like you were saying about him not submitting, Ryan not submitting, I've got an active CGC membership right now. I just submitted some books a little while ago to renew my membership for the first time in a few years. So that I was right where Ryan was at, where I'm done. Okay, I guess I'm going to do it again. And now it's like, okay, well, do I really want to send in books now and have to deal with this if I get the mechanical error?
Probably not. You probably want to wait a little while, and that's how much is that going to affect CGC's bottom line as well.
And that's a great question, Psycho Phil. He says, since they admitted to this being a bad batch, I'm sure they'll reslab for free, right? And boy, I thought of the Padme and Anakin meme as soon as you said that. You're going to reslab them for free, right? Right?
Right. Yeah. And he said that. He said it in the chat. The admin for CGC said resubmit them as a mechanical error.
But that was in May.
So I don't know if they're still going to be honoring that. They've also got some stuff going on with their autograph stuff. Travis sent some stuff in. Travis sent some stuff in, and he had a nightmare with that. So
was that the new JSA service, or?
Yeah, he sent in from a reputable dealer, a Stanley Auto, and he paid to have the grading of the autograph after the fact. So they grade it, they authenticate, and then they tell you how good of a autograph it is after the fact, right? So they didn't authenticate.
Okay.
And they charged him for grading the autograph that wasn't authenticated. And they slabbed it. He's like, at some point you would think they would go, hey, stop, pause, contact the person and say, this doesn't pass muster. Do you want to proceed with slabbing? Do you want it? But they slabbed it, marked it down for writing on the cover, marked on the grade for writing on the cover, and couldn't authenticate, and then graded the unauthenticated Like that's the quality of the authenticated autograph.
Ooh. Well, and CBCS does the authenticated signatures as well, and they have. I haven't done the JSA process, so if there is something like this on there, I'm sorry. I'm just speaking to what I just heard. They have a tick box on the CBCS site where it's like, reject the submission if the signature authentication fails, right?
Right.
So you don't get it encapsulated. You don't incur the grading fees. I think there's still a fee for the verification itself, but there isn't the fee for encapsulation and all that stuff if your book doesn't pass that.
And
so,
I think, did I send you the link about the dealer saying that he was sending in like older like golden and silver age books that had like children's writing on the cover and stuff?
I think you told me about it.
And he was getting charged for signature authentication.
And that's
like,
rough.
I sent them in I didn't mark the box for signature authentication. I sent them in to be graded.
Yeah.
And they charged me for signature because there's writing on the book. So
we have
no clue who's signed. Right. Yeah, that was like, but it's a wonderful quality signature. Yeah, I was like, so I'm waiting to see. Travis hasn't received the book back yet, but I want to see pictures of what it looks like when it comes back.
And that's a very good point, Kamikaze. He says he got 30 books back from CGC a few weeks ago, and all were just fine. And this is by no means like I definitely don't want people to think this is all submissions. However, I can tell you it's definitely rampant because
right.
I mean, just the people that are able to come out of the woodwork and show pictures of the books that are affected by this. And in fact, I mentioned the Wolves Den earlier, which is that new Discord. That I mentioned that I was going to be talking about the show tonight, and people were posting their photos, including Palm Beach Presser, who I have a video coming out. I did a little collaboration with him, pressing some books and submitting them. He posted up some stuff that was pretty obviously the exact same C-curve issue that he just got back. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you mention this, people are able to provide, like, hey, that's happened to me. But it doesn't mean it's all of them. And I think it's just a good PSA for people to know what is out there and what's happening in terms of this issue, because some people, I would hate for people to be like, oh, wow, this happened to me and I'm really mad and you knew about it and didn't cover it. I at least want to mention it to people and kind of.
Well, definitely just if you get some books back, inspect for that C curve or for that S curve where it's touching at the corners, but there's a bow either in like a bow like this or a bow like that, So
it's rough. It's rough. Oh, hey, by the way, before I get too far in the show, I absolutely have to mention something, which is we have a giveaway tonight. How did I get this far into the show and not mention that? Folks, I have a giveaway, and it's because it's going to be related to our next topic. Actually, you could do hashtag D23 to get entered into that giveaway right now. All I got to do is type in hashtag D23, which is the Disney, kind of expo that happened over the weekend. For a chance to win a couple trade paperbacks as well as some other goodies that I'll put into your Gemini mailer. This is again, most of these trade paperbacks you're going to see for this, 99% of them are donated by Big B McFly, the comic book guy over there. We're going to have an X-Men Deadly Genesis trade paperback. Tells you a great story.
Such a good story.
If you're a Summers fan like I am, like I love the Summers family tree and the X-Men. Very important book because you get a brand new character to the Summers family. I won't spoil it just in case you get a chance to read, but that's the whole trade paperback there.
If you want to ruin your opinion of Professor Xavier.
Exactly. But we're going to have some X-Men news later, so I thought that was a good one to include. But we're definitely going to talk about some Fantastic Four action here. So authoritative action, Fantastic Four going in there right now. So those are your giveaways. D23 is the hashtag. And I've got about 4 weeks of these worth to send out, and I promise I will get to it. Now that I am finally done packing and shipping pretty much everything from the claim sale for everybody that paid, it's all out. Some people have already received their stuff, and they're sending me happy DMs, which makes me very happy.
Nice.
So that's good. If
we missed out on an opportunity when you did the PSA. Now you know.
Now you know, yeah, exactly.
And knowing is half the battle.
Exactly. And the other half, as we all know, is red and green or red and blue lasers. But yeah, so please enter hashtag D23 to get your chance to win those into the chat. We are collecting those entries now. 7 of you already in there. Shout out. I saw Don pop in here right before I talked about that. Shout out to Don. He's one of the fine folks over there at the Wolves Den Discord I was just talking about. I highly recommend going to check them out, getting invited into that group with the link I pasted into the chat. If you need that invite and you're in my Discord, just hit me up and I'll give you the invite for that too.
Hey,
So
shout out to everybody who was a part of our claim sale too, and big shout out to Richard, who's just an all-star in all the groups that I'm in. Richard, you're awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we had D23 happen. There was some big news that came out from that. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty spoiler footage stuff, mostly because I haven't watched most of it.
I haven't. You've seen more of it than I have. You said you got kind of schnockered into looking at something.
Yeah, one really good thumbnail got me. Well, hey, you know what, Chad? We'll talk offline, man. No, I'm kidding. That does remind me that it's over now, but the nominations just happened for the CBCAs, which are the Comic Book Community Awards. And shout out, some people went and nominated us, and that's awesome. I really wanted to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Sounds like in a couple days we'll get the final list of nominees, but I know best facial hair, best mustache, best beard, best hair, best hands is one of the awards. I won that the first year they added the award, which was really nice. I also won a video content award, which is also really nice.
I think
Top Pete.
I think Travis might be in the beard one this year.
Oh, nice! He deserves to be on there.
A bunch of our friends were spamming for him.
Nice, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully he wins. I definitely don't need to win that one again, but I would love to. I'd love for this show to be nominated. That's the one thing I'm hoping for, is it makes it to the final list of nominees. Yeah. So along with there's kind of a bevy of trailers that were announced for Marvel. I saw the Daredevil Born Again trailer because of a really good thumbnail that got me on YouTube. I've seen screenshots from the Fantastic Four one, and I know I've seen one prominent screenshot from the Thunderbolts one. They're not technically released to the public yet, as far as I'm aware, for those three. We did get the Agatha All Along, I think the final trailer for that, or the extended trailer for that.
The enhanced version.
Yeah. It was maybe not quite as good as the first trailer, which I know a lot of people were kind of ho-hum about. My daughter was into it because she likes witches, so that's,
I thought it looked pretty good. But there's been a lot of debate.
I will say, and I don't want to talk about things that haven't happened to the public yet, so I'll just say that I think the Daredevil trailer looked pretty cool. I can't wait to watch it in good quality that isn't recorded from the auditorium it was talked about in. And everybody already knows that Red Hulk is a part of Thunderbolts, a part of Captain America, the Sam Wilson of Captain America, Brave New World, because of the first trailer that came out. But there's a better shot of him in that, which I don't think that's much of a spoiler because you already know he's in the movie. That's been going around.
I heard the entire Harrison Ford transformation is in the trailer. That's something like that. I think
it's the shot must be from right after he completes it, then, because that actually makes sense from what he looks like in the shot I've seen. But people are being all kinds of negative about that and everything, and I don't know. I'm excited for a couple of these projects. I'm really excited for Daredevil. It's out there on the internet now more than just a trailer. It's official that John Bernthal's coming back as Punisher, and that's there's interviews and
so much street level hero stuff going on in there. It looks really cool.
Yeah, we got Foggy back, and we have Deborah. I'm really excited about Deborah Ann Wool being back. That's a really big one for me. So you got basically the original cast, more or less. Vincent D'Onofrio, of course, is already still officially in the MCU. We've seen that in a couple different shows now. But yeah, so that should be really exciting. I don't know. I can't wait to see the full trailers. The first look at FF. I want to see Thunderbolt / Captain America. I'm excited for. I think it's a lot more to be excited about after Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm kind of re-energized a little bit on MCU stuff for now.
Yeah. I shared that with you. I was like, I keep seeing posts about all of this Future Foundation stuff, being specced on the white Spider-Man suit and all of that stuff. I was like, huh, wonder what that's all about. I'm not up on all the rumors.
Yeah. No, the Future Fan Ice stuff's definitely that's pretty big. I mean, it's because of the costumes, basically, from what I can tell. Again, I've only seen a couple of shots from that footage or whatever they showed.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really good point. What is the thing gonna look like? Good point,
Right.
Roscoe. I know you're a fan
Right.
of the big dudes, as am I. Colossus, Thing, Hulk, all those guys, Juggernaut. I love them all. So, Feige was wearing a hat. Well, there you go, folks. It's all over. But was he wearing a hat with a different logo on it? Maybe. Yeah, Punisher coming back is fantastic. That's a really common sentiment, Collector P. Not a lot of people are super excited about Agatha. I think Catherine Hahn did a really good job in WandaVision, so I'm excited to see more of that. And also Aubrey Plaza, she looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Aubrey Plaza, and I'm excited because I think it's going to be a gateway to more of the horror universe that we're going to be seeing. So more of so we can get more of Man-Thing and Werewolf by Night and all of that stuff, and leading into Midnight Suns and all that, which I've heard some rumors about Midnight Suns too.
Oh, cool. I know there's some like Darkhold kind of like half reference. I mean, Darkhold was already part of WandaVision a little bit, but there's a kind of a Darkhold reference in the text in the trailer as well. Like, grab a hold of you. I feel like that's kind of a nod to Darkhold. Yes, there you go. That's a really, really good way to put it. Can you imagine how big the audience will scream for the Fantastic Four coming back? Everyone loved that one. The Michael B. Jordan Fantastic Four. That's actually something we're going to talk about.
Some sarcasm there.
I believe so.
A little tongue in cheek.
So yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to trailer stuff, I know a lot of people love to dissect it and talk about it a lot. Hey, I think we should just kind of acknowledge it. I'm when it comes to trailers, I'm kind of cool, but let's see what it actually looks like. Or in this case, let's see what the trailers actually look like, because they're not actually out for the general public yet, technically.
Right.
I know a lot of people have already seen them. But it does remind me of another fairly large, if you're in a certain world, element of something that happened at D23. Let me get this ready to share. And that is Fortnite.
Fortnite. There we go.
Yeah, Fortnite. Everybody's like, oh yeah, Fortnite. That still exists. I play Fortnite, fairly regularly. I'm not like
my wife is like, she started playing with our son, and I would say she was pretty terrible to begin with, but now she's formidable.
There you go. If you're a Marvel fan, if you're a comic book fan, and if you have any kind of interest in Fortnite, I think this looks pretty cool. There's absolute doom coming to Fortnite for Chapter 5, Season 4, including some new skins. Gwenpool, which is, that's a pretty cool thing.
That's cool. Yeah.
Chris actually plays Fortnite. He was part of a charity stream for Fortnite actually a few weeks back. So that's really cool. Yeah, you're right. You know what, Jay? We should stop everything. I forgot to talk about Moana 2. No, there was some big Disney stuff too. Percy Jackson Season 2 trailer, Moana 2, and there was an announcement for Frozen 3 and 4, which if you're depending on what part of the segment of the world you care about, that might be big news. It's kind of big news in my house, but
yeah, if you have kids, definitely, right? For sure.
Yeah. I like how you said Banana Verine.
Banana Verine.
Peelverine is what they're calling it.
Oh, is it Peelverine? Peelverine. Yeah. There we go. War Machine, though. War Machine's tight.
War Machine, and if you watch the trailer, there's some really cool Iron Man, War Machine, Doctor Doom. I don't know if it's an item you'll be able to pick up that allows you to fly around like them, or if it's a game mode, but there's like some flying around, targeting, missile shooting, energy blast shooting kind of stuff that looks really fun. The shot of the trailer where Peelverine pops out of the Weapon X tank is great if you're a Fortnite fan. Emma Frost.
Frost. There we go. There we go. And Captain Jonesy.
Yeah. So that one I've seen the most hate about Captain Jonesy. Mysterio too. Can't forget Mysterio. And Shuri's coming. So
that's cool. They've had a couple skins that kind of look like Shuri.
They do. They actually have quite a few that look like Shuri. And they already have Black Panther, which came with like Captain Marvel and Drax, I think, in like a pack or something.
It's like one of my wife's favorite skins that she uses is one of the older ones that looks like Shuri.
Dr. Doom being the big bad for that's a very modest Emma Frost. Very good point, Chris. Yeah, you're right. Yes. They went super modest on Emma Frost. Which I'm a fan of the old Hellfire Club, but I understand it's not appropriate for everybody. But even some of her newer costumes since then were better. Like,
did it say at the beginning that this is going to be a different play mode? Also,
it's going to have it definitely, from what I saw in the trailer, looks like it's going to have its own game mode.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the joke I was going to make, and I think Chris will appreciate this joke. Maybe some other people will get it. We'll talk about it later. Is the Grant Morrison Emma Frost's costume is really cool. And that is something that a few of you will pick up on, and something we're going to talk about pretty soon. The Grant Morrison X-Men costumes, designed by Grant Morrison. Everybody loves his costumes, right? The joke being Frank Quietly obviously had more to do with the creation of those costumes, but
right,
everybody's calling them the Morrison costumes. So
okay,
we'll talk about why in a second.
All right.
The last thing I was going to say is I mentioned this on the stream I was on Wednesday for the launch of Zero Ghost. I think that was I'm sorry. I mentioned this on Spidey's Outback stream last night. Another great channel, Mad Spidey. Somebody who should have been nominated for some awards. The Australian YouTuber that loves comic books. One of the few out there.
Loves him some statues too.
Exactly, and some original art. He's got a lot of original art. But the X-Men skins came out for Cyclops, which I was super stoked. I had to buy as soon as I possibly could. Jubilee and Colossus. So those are some great ones that came out too. Oh my gosh. Don't even tease me, because now that I've got Cyclops, Captain Crunch would be on my short list, Chris. So let's talk about this whole, what was I talking about with the Grant Morrison costumes? Okay, let's pull up the article I have saved off for that, because that's an interesting one.
We're not running on EXP tonight, are we?
Pull up the link here. And this is something I started seeing happen as time went on for this news story more than when it was first announced. But one of the things we had come out of D23 was some of the details and characters that we're going to have in season 2 of X-Men 97. And we've talked about this a couple times. You lost, I'm talking to my producer, you lost me or you lost Bigby or both? Make sure you guys can hear me okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
It's Big. So if you guys can still hear me, I'm going to keep talking and we'll see if Bigby is able to fix his audio.
Can you hear me at all?
Barely. I heard you a little bit. It might get better as time goes on. Hey, what's up, Steve? I heard you say something. Very quiet. Very frank, quietly. Oh. Yeah, so he's got some problems with his headset. We're going to get him a different mic here at some point, but he basically has to unplug and replug it in a few times. And that's hopefully something he'll get figured out here in a second. So while he's working on that, I'll go ahead and talk about this a little bit. So we found out that Polaris, Havoc, and Danger are coming to season 2. We already know Apocalypse is going to be in season 2 because of the end of season 1. Spoilers for the end of season 1, I guess. And we know this season is mostly written by Bo DeMaio. We've talked about this recently. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that, and I don't think they talk about it here. So the thing that got reported is that they're going to be in the, and this is what most of the headlines say, they're going to be in the Grant Morrison costumes. And I understand why it says this to a degree. But this is a little bit like talking about Matt Fraction's Hawkeye when Hawkeye came to Disney Plus. And a lot of that visual look was David Aja. And I mean, like to ignore the visuals is a mistake. Oh man, it was very good. It was very good. I agree with you, Jay.
Checking in. Can you hear me?
I caught parts of what you're saying, but you're very low.
Darn it.
You might be able to switch over to the webcam mic at this point, maybe, and just that might be better. So when it comes to the costumes, you saw these articles coming out saying it was the Grant Morrison costumes, which is, I didn't have a picture of it pulled up, unfortunately. It's the black costumes with the giant yellow X's in front of them, which is kind of inspired by the Fox movie look, the black leather kind of look. And that's what happened during Grant Morrison's run, which was also Frank Quietly's run on New X-Men, when the X-Men Volume 2 became New X-Men for a while later in the run. And that's where you got characters like Cassandra Nova, the Stepford Cuckoos and Zorn and a lot of other characters, right? It's a great run, epic run. But it's just kind of funny because, I've seen tweets and stuff from like Brian Michael Bendis and all these different people saying like, it's just so silly to refer to it as Morrison's run. And I know Chris from Comic Tropes, who's in the chat, obviously, made a comment about that earlier as well. I wonder how much of X-Men 97 was thanks to writer Bo DeMaio. If it was mostly him, we may have only gotten one good season. Well, season 2 was written by Bo DeMaio as well. They've said they've tweaked parts of it, but it was written by him as well. So hopefully we're still going to get at least one more really solid season, if everything goes well, and then maybe more after that. He does sound a little bit like AM radio. So sorry, guys. We're working on that. In the meantime, I was somewhat prepared to do the show by myself, so I can kind of talk about most things here. But yeah, it's just one of those things that's unfortunate when if you've watched my channel and heard me talk long enough, I don't love it when creators don't get the proper credit, and this is kind of part of that. Exactly. They did have new writers rework season 2 a little bit, but for at least what they're saying, it sounds like it was rewrites, so probably minimal changes. But yeah, it's hard to say. It could be more substantial. Anyways, this is one of those things where I don't really love it when people refer to a show as a comic run as being one of the creators, especially when it has to do with the visual style. It's just a little strange. But I think I saw Ryan Otley tweeted about it as well, and somebody made the comment of like, yeah, that's why we call all the crackles in the Invincible verse Kirkman crackles, which is a pretty good one. So let's talk about this new character. Get my link pulled up. Ooh, the googly ears are blocking Bigby, I think maybe. I think he left to probably come back in as my guess, so he's probably working on that. But yeah, the googly eyes and ears just block Bigby. I get how the article was using Grant Morrison's name for clickbait, but doesn't Frank Quietly's name also carry? Yeah, and like you could just as easily say the Quietly / Morrison costumes, and everybody would understand you're talking about that run, right? Like, I mean, I think that's because people refer to that as the Morrison run pretty often, because also technically Quietly didn't draw all of it. So we have Big B back. Let's see if we have any audio.
Is it any better?
Ooh, I can hear you. So yeah, we're already in the step in that direction.
Hey, that's good.
Hey, awesome.
You can hear me, and is the volume all right?
To me, it sounds great. Let's see what the chat says about that here in a second when they get caught up.
Awesome.
Richard says good.
All right. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Yeah, it's all good.
I don't know what happened just randomly.
Oh man, Richard, that's the comment of the night so far. Roy Thomas is claiming he created season 2.
Hey, Dr. Plegus is in here.
Yeah, I was just going to highlight him. Dr. Plegus, whose shirt you can see right there on Big B McFly, the comic book guy. And he did some stickers for him as well. Go check out his stuff. Over on I think his IG is probably a good place to get started. He also has a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Ugly Beast, YouTube Jesus. So is Comic Journey YouTube Jesus now? Oh boy, I don't know how I feel about that. Is that what you're saying, Collector P? But yeah, the Morrison era Beast, that's pretty funny. The Quietly era Beast it was off-putting for
The
me.
lion face.
Yeah, it was kind of off-putting for me too. I was very happy when he returned to kind of the more traditional look during the Krakoa Fall of Krakoa stuff. Is kind of when I saw him return back. So yeah, it's one of those things that's there's some Quietly's art is hit or miss for me at times. Like I really like the style, but at times it's pretty polarizing on the
There's
characters.
certain times when it's really good. I really liked it in like All Star Superman. It was really good.
You did a fantastic job on that. Yeah, it does look really good. Good job on the art for the shirt there and the design and all that. So that's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
So I did want to talk about this a little bit. Marvel is introducing Amaranth, not to be confused with Amaranth, I guess, who is the Twitch streamer / OnlyFans star / starlet, I guess you could say. So maybe she's the Starlit Witch. I don't know. Probably going too far for that one. But she's the new Scarlet Witch protege. There is her, I believe, on the bottom left is the character of Amaranth. There you go. There's a little bit better picture of her. So she's going to be the new character. I'm trying to remember where she's going to premiere. Is it in Scarlet Witch 6? They released the covers for Scarlet Witch 6. Yeah. So got the Dodderman cover featuring Agatha and obviously Wanda and then Amaranth. It's just a weird thing. Oh, she has a new Champions cover too. Interesting. And sorry, I was just reading our private chat back there for a second. The reason I can't get into it is Cat Face Beast. Yeah, it reminds me of the George R.R. Martin Beauty and the Beast show that was on in the 90s, like the way the Beast looked in that show.
Yeah.
Deep cut for some people, I'm sure.
Ron Perlman.
Oh, was that Ron Perlman?
That's Ron Perlman.
Oh man, see, I watched the movie when I was that show. I watched that show when I was a kid, so
you got to go back and rewatch some of that now.
Yeah,
Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton.
I know some digital art can be polarizing for people, but this Talavera variant's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a new character. I mean, you don't often get like announcements like this for new characters, and the last time I could think of it for Marvel, and I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there's somebody who came out between now and then, but I remember like Spider-Boy, they kind of talked about it a little bit, hyped it up. So it does kind of make me wonder, I know people wonder about speculation value, that kind of stuff. I personally doubt there's going to be too much to this, but you never know. Spider-Boy kind of took off in a way I didn't expect, so I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm not super up on what's going on with like the Avengers side of the Marvel universe right now. I'm still, just mostly reading the X-Men stuff when it comes to Marvel, but it seems interesting. Seems like there could be something going on here, so thought I'd point it out. Hellboy and Sarah. Oh yeah, right. It's Linda Hamilton. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Okay. Hey, what's up, Ultra Nerd? How's it going? Just
there's your spec right there. Don Schultz says Scarlet Witch 9.
First cover for the character. Okay, cool. So it's interesting. Just glad they made Agatha hot in the comics. Hope they make Aunt May young and sexy soon.
She was in the movies just recently.
Well, I mean, young is relative, right? Marissa Tomei, I don't think she's not a spring chicken, but she's
young
compared
for her
to
age. What she used to look like.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Much younger. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to in any way disparage Marissa Tomei. I'm just saying, like,
you just did it. You done did do it.
A reference in the '90s for kind of a hot actress, right? But maybe sets up J. Jonah Jameson next. I like that.
Yeah. And Jarvis.
Yeah, Jarvis. Oh, it's great. So let's see, what other controversy stuff can we talk about tonight? No, we're not only trying to talk about controversy, but there was just a lot of news. I haven't even got to our two main stories, so I will quickly talk about. Let's see here. Make sure I got everything. We talked about the CGC slabs, Zero Ghost launch. Let's talk about this one. And I don't have an easy way to share this. So let me see if I can just do this real fast. I know they talked about it on his Instagram. And so I'm just trying to pull up a link so I can share the quote from his team here. And you'll see what I'm talking about.
Saying Larry Hama uncredited in Deadpool 3. Was that a?
Oh, right. Because this is something that we kind of talked about on. Well, Chris talked about on his Twitter. I just replied to it. No, Larry Hama doesn't have a special thanks of any kind in the creator credits. When there's like creators, you could argue have a lot less to do with Deadpool or Wolverine for that matter. But I mean, you're talking about the writer of the comic book where they first appeared together in Wolverine '88. He's the writer on that issue. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, Patch. Did he write Patch's first appearance? Because that was issue 1, right?
It was Hama writing at that point.
Yeah. That's why I think it might have been a different writer for the first couple issues. And my knowledge is just kind of failing me there. But I know he didn't write the entire run. He wrote the vast majority of it, I think is pretty safe to say. Buscema and Claremont. There we go. Yeah, that's true. Okay. But still, he was such a huge part of Wolverine's. I think what a lot of people think about when they think about modern Wolverine kind of happened in those pages. I think that's pretty fair to say. Okay, so I finally got this link pulled up. Let's talk about this other article or newsworthy note, which unfortunately revolves around news about somebody that Big B and I met recently. This is from the official Jim Shooter Instagram, and this is from his management team, I believe, Illustrated Media. They say, on behalf of Jim Shooter, thanks to so many of you for the kind words and well wishes. Due to some health concerns and medical treatment challenges, Jim is having to step away from all public engagements and appearances for the time being. We do expect him to return soon. We greatly appreciate your continued support and understanding. So, really sad update. I mean, no one wants to see something like that, but I think it's something that you and I both talked about coming away from meeting Jim Shooter. We were very happy we had a chance to meet him.
Right.
Hopefully this is a very good.
There's been so many creators recently that have, if you didn't get your chance, jump on your chance to meet them. Like, I never got to meet Neil Adams. That's a regret.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hopefully this is a very minor bump in the road for Mr. Shooter. I mean, that's what we would hope for. But I think that it's noteworthy, and that it was, they had to cancel public appearances for the time being. Unfortunately, we've seen things like this in the past, where that's been maybe kind of the last public announcement before some other announcements. But I really hope that it's not the case here. I hope good health to Mr. Shooter, because it was just fascinating to listen to him talk. In fact, there was a clip I saw of him recently. I don't know if it went like viral, as the kids say, but there was a clip I saw him talking about some of the modern stuff going on in comic books that I think a lot of people probably would have identified with. Let's put it that way. Where he's just kind of an old school guy,
right?
So, fresh in, Roy Thomas just announced he created Secret Wars. Everybody, one of the best. So very engaging and chatty in person. He loves to tell the SNL story from way back. There's probably a clip of him somewhere telling that. I'll have to go look that up, Kamikaze, but. Yeah, he told us some really, fun bullpen stories. It was just amazing.
It was great just to get to talk to him. And we didn't film it, but I felt like it was better that we didn't. It was more of just a person to person chat.
Yeah.
Where we just got to and engage and talk to him and spend some time with someone that has done so much for the medium that we love. So.
Well, and it was very much like a wanting to live in the moment kind of a thing for me. To answer your question, according to my Wikipedia search, he's 72. And I will just, my observation, I think I mentioned this when we talked about after meeting him. I noticed a couple of things when I was talking to him that I just had me concerned, I guess is all I'll say. Just as one human being talking to another human being, I'm like, oh, I'm seeing a couple things here that I don't like to see. And I really hope he turns the corner here and has better health ahead of him is all I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a very good storyteller. Yep. Yeah, he got in at a young age for sure.
It's funny because they accepted him not knowing how old he was, and then they were like, "Wait, how old are you?"
I heard Red Thomas co-created Jim Shooter.
I don't think that math adds up, but okay.
Oh. I have a theory that in What If, every main character in each episode are anchor beings in their own universe. Oh, that's kind of interesting on the kind of switching gears to the MCU thing. That I could see that to at least for some of those characters like Captain Carter and a few others. That makes sense. So again, hopefully I can't. All I can say is I hope everything's okay for Mr. Shooter. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well wishes to him for sure. Such a nice guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up this now. This is something that Chris mentioned when he was in the chat last week. Chris is always so awesome for hanging out in our chats. I really appreciate that. I wish I could hang out in his show more, but it's unfortunately right at the kind of like dinner time for me and my family, where I'm kind of doing some things to get ready for this show. But I always try to watch on the rewind. Go check out his show. But he mentioned this last week, and I'm glad he did because it's definitely something that we need to talk about. It's been kind of in the zeitgeist. This is heritageauctions.com, where there is a current little. I mean, if you've got a few dollars laying around, you've been saving up for that key you've been looking for. I don't know, maybe instead of buying that, you decide to go buy some original art, right? Like the cover to the first appearance of Deadpool and Copycat and Gideon. If you've got $7.5 million lying around,
pocket change,
the asking price, which I will now be a moron for not understanding how Heritage works. Is there a buyer's premium on a buy it now on Heritage? Because that's also going to be a lot on top of that, if that's true.
Right.
I know there is for auctions. I'm not sure if there is for buy it nows. So apologies for my ignorance there. I'm sure somebody in chat knows better than I do. So what do you think about this?
It's not an auction. It's a buy it now.
Yeah. Well, you can make an offer too. So, I mean, maybe they would accept a little bit less. But
I mean, it's a one of a kind thing. And it's definitely a huge character, and it's a piece of history, so it does have quite a bit of value.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the last sold like that gets close to that for OA. I'm not big in the OA world. I wish I was. I'm learning bits and pieces, but I can only imagine what Hulk 181 or whatever, because I say that because he's on the cover. Let's all just calm down. What that would go for in today's open market, if it was to go, that would be insane, I'm sure.
Well, didn't the Secret Wars cover just sold not too long ago?
Yeah, I think that's the previous best, and I want to say that was off the top of my head, just from my memory, I want to say it was like 4 million or something.
But Mike Zeck didn't get any of that.
Right. And that's a good point. It's not like it's Liefeld selling it. That's a very good point. Nice. It's been sold for a while. I believe it sold for a good amount back then too.
I was gonna say, I wonder what the original purchase price was for it.
$75 a month for 100,000 months. But the Heritage auction stuff must be going to like all oil barons making. Well, it's not a secret that in the art world, this is me pretending like I know a lot about like highfalutin art world and investing, but apparently what people say is that art prices for like fine art are so high because you can basically use it as like a tax-free investment if you like keep selling it to each other, and as the rich community sell it around to each other, and you can kind of just always keep increasing the sale price. And then once you buy it, you're just kind of holding this a very expensive piece that you can then resell for even more next time. I guess it's kind of almost not a scam, but almost like there's an extra layer to it beyond just like this is priceless art. It's also used by the very rich to kind of avoid some taxes. I guess that's what, as I understand it. I'm not
shelter or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Put it up for $1 start. What now? What not? Buy it now for $1 start. 1 minute auction. that'd be hilarious.
It's curious, like some of the original art that's floating around. I wonder, like in the New York area, because like Marvel, when the kids would come tour Marvel Studios, they would each get a piece of original artwork back in the day because they didn't think anything of the original artwork. I read a deal where one of the gals who was basically like a receptionist, they went to her and she had been using it as a shelf liner in her cupboards, or original artwork from the archives, because they would just throw it away. So she had all these priceless pages that were just in her cupboards.
Well, and I mean so there's a little bit like there's almost an echo of comic books there, where it's something that wasn't ever really designed to be saved in the first place. And so that kind of adds, because a lot of it was destroyed, thrown away, ripped up, drawn on, whatever. That kind of adds to some of the exclusivity of being able to have one of those things that's still around. And then original art is kind of in a weird spot too, because on one hand, you have artists, Jim Lee will charge you a lot of money for a commission, for example. There's a lot baked into that story. When I say that, like, that's almost him saying, like, my time is this valuable that if you want me to draw, this is what it's going to cost you. That's a big part of that. There's more to that story. But then there's also digital artists that now are creating these covers and they kind of can't sell their original art, at least not in a traditional way.
Right.
So
like Frank Cho was saying, he makes a good living from the fact that he's one of the few guys that does pen and ink stuff anymore. He makes a really good living off of selling original artwork.
Nick Brucci was like, too rich for my blood when you joked you should buy it. That's funny. Yeah, I'll send you 10 original pieces of art for $1. You just got to agree to buy this one. Columbia House style.
There you go.
Yeah. OA NFTs. Yep. Oh boy. I have not seen, at least in my memory, photos of the Marvel Warehouse shed. I've seen pictures of similar stuff along these lines where expensive things were stored, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that any of this stuff is still around today.
Well, isn't that part of the story too, with even like the Mile High collection? When he came to view that collection originally, as he walked up to the house, there were dumpster bins full of original artwork.
Yeah.
And he just started grabbing piles and stuffing it into the trunk of his car because there was so much artwork just being thrown away.
It really, you shudder to think about some of the things that we don't have anymore that should be in a museum. I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember who said this. I think last week when we talked about it or something, but somebody said, hey, what if the MCU or Marvel just bought this and put it in a museum? I mean, like, that's almost kind of what should happen in some ways with some of this stuff, I think. But, and again, it's asking price of $7.5 million. I wonder what it'll actually sell for. But some people are eyeing it.
Yeah, I kind of
Oh,
wish.
that's a good point.
Did you make it to the OMSI Marvel show that they had?
I missed it. It. Just too much stuff going on at that time, but I wanted to see it. I know they had a lot of original art on display. I'm guessing you made it there.
I did not, but I saw Dave from West Coast Dave Enders. I think he went 2 or 3 times, and he said it was just phenomenal.
Nice.
So yeah, I really wish I had. If you need any of you guys have that touring around your area of the country, the Marvel experience with all the original art, was supposedly pretty amazing.
Yeah. And for the OMSI, I know it's a very regional thing. It's the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. They usually have like touring exhibits come
But
through.
I'm sure they tour through different similar organizations in other
Exactly.
states.
Yeah. And those touring exhibits, they obviously have a lot going on with those kind of national tours. Like I know there's like dinosaur exhibits that go through, and they have like animatronics and stuff like that. We've seen that kind of stuff there. It's fun. I love going to that stuff. I went to the DC one when I was a kid at OMSI, and I remember, I'll never forget this. They had like a detective station set up for Batman, and it was like you could like smell in one part of it, like smell penguin feathers, and you could smell, I think there might have been clay or something, but then there was one that was like a cat smell for Catwoman. And I remember smelling, there was like a tube, and I smelled, and that smell it was like concentrated cat dander, and that is like emblazoned on my nose's memory and for the rest of my life.
Oh wow!
I smelled a little too strongly of that one. Apparently,
Yikes!
It was a weird. I know that sounds like a weird exhibit. It's just something I remember from when I was a kid.
No, that's cool though. It's weird what those things that stick with you.
I don't know for sure that I am. I'm definitely going to try to. I know you have a discount code, Chris. Do you want to throw that in chat? You're more than welcome to for admission.
Yeah, it's like $5 off, right?
I think so. Are you going, Big B? I can't remember what you decided.
I was waiting to hear what my co-pilot was doing.
I definitely want to go. If I hear, I know there's a ton of celebrities this year, like tons of celebrities.
Right.
The comic guests, there was some cool ones for sure. Let's just look at that real fast. I do have the banner up on the chat. If you want to win a Fantastic Four trade paperback and X-Men Deadly Genesis trade paperback, go ahead and do hashtag D23 in chat for a chance to win those. I'm going to remove that for a minute because that's been up there for a while. Code TROPES. Use TROPES to get your $5 off your Rose City Comic Con badge while they're still available. I am curious. I know they said they announced their like final guests, I think. So let me pull that up.
Oh, Chris may participate in some panels. That's cool.
Ooh, well that might put me over the top for trying to go. I've been the last few years. I have no intention of missing it, but I also haven't bought my ticket yet. It's kind of a weird spot.
K-pop junkie, hello.
Hey,
Steve?
what's up, K-pop? How you doing? So let's see here. Arthur Sidem. I mean, everybody here is great. Ben Saunders. Charlie Cox. That's obviously a big celebrity guest in the moment, especially Chip Zdarsky. That's really cool. Chris Warner was very awesome last year. Chris
Bacalo. I love Bacalo stuff.
Yeah. Is it Bacalo or Bacalo?
I always call him Bacalo. I don't. Botula sounds like botulism. I don't know.
You're probably right. I've only ever heard of Botula. I never even thought about it the other way, but that actually makes more sense. Christopher Priest. I don't think he does a ton of appearances.
At least talk about somebody who's influential on a character. His Black Panther stuff.
Yeah,
is probably the defining Black Panther stuff, right?
Finch. Okay, they've added a few more comic guests.
Finch, that's awesome. Mac was there last year.
David F. Walker is a really cool dude. I highly recommend going up and talking to him. He'll have a cool conversation with you if you go up with the right attitude for sure. Doc Shaner, Greg Rucka, really nice guy. We got the cast of Rick and Morty, the voice cast.
Hayden Christensen.
Mustafa, he's cool. Jason Isaacs. Schmalk's cool. Oh, we got Blue's Clues in the house.
Hey, there you go.
John Cho. He's
John
nice
Cho,
guy for sure. More
Rock Kiesel.
I mean, yeah, and I'm just trying to go for the biggest names here. Michael Rosenbaum. He was at
Max Brooks.
Yep, Max Brooks. Oh, dude, get your World War Z book
World
signed.
War Z, baby. Mignola.
Mignola, that's huge. He was the big name I was thinking off the top of my head.
Mercandolfo. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Which I'm pretty sure she does not speak English, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So that'll be an interesting
translator, huh?
I think so.
Cool.
Mustafa Musa is a really cool guy too. I recommend talking to him. Reese Darby, that's cool. He's a good actor. Randy Emberlin always holding it down, especially on the Northwest conventions.
Rosario
Leslie
Dawson, huh?
Rosario Dawson. Yep. Sean
Simon
Gordon
Pegg.
Murphy.
Yeah, you're all right. The celebrities lineup's pretty big.
Yeah, that's why I thought they had both Blues Clues actors. Tom Welling, who backed out of SummerCon because of an illness. Hopefully he'll be there for people that missed him at SummerCon.
Right.
Yeah, there's some definitely little House of Dragon stuff going on here. The celeb, I cannot wait in lines to meet celebrities and pay $150 to have a picture or an autograph or something like that. Or I might be exaggerating. I know it's probably not quite that much for some celebrities, but I did that one year, and the wait is it's a long wait. For the right celebrity, I would do it. So for me personally, I kind of throw those names out for the most part. As fun as it is, it's fun like getting a glimpse of getting to see Richard Dean Anderson like from 15 feet away signing stuff after the con was over. That was really cool.
So we're getting feedback. She does speak English.
So I was misinformed by somebody. I will have a conversation with them. I was told they do not speak English. So that's
just a bit of an accent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I apologize. I was misinformed by somebody that she only speaks Italian, or at least that's obviously her home language. Yeah, like Chris was saying up here. So, I guess I was misinformed.
In K-pop, like commenting on a lot of different people being there.
Oh, I bet. She probably knows most of these people. Yeah, there's a lot of great guests. You'll be there Saturday. Oh, awesome.
Sweet.
That's the day. If I could go one day, that's the day I'll try to go. Even though it's a catch-22 because it's the busiest day. It's my least favorite day to go as a con goer to try to experience talking to people and buying things and looking at comic books.
Right.
But it's the best day for meeting people, like meetups and stuff like that. Right. So,
right.
I did that too 1 year at NYCC for Stanley and William Shatner. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Those are worth it. If you want to meet those people, that's where then I have famously said my regret is not for meeting Stan Lee while he was alive. So,
Yep.
All right. Even more reason to go Saturday, it looks like.
There you go, Chewy. We got to go.
Punch it. And hey, there you go. Comic Journey, who's in the New York area. I think he's very comfortable saying that because he says it like every stream he's on. So Comic Tropes is going to be at NYCC on Saturday. So if you're over there, you might get a chance to meet him as well over there. He's a nice guy.
Well, I will be at Terrificon for the whole thing. So if anybody's there,
exactly. You and a bunch of other people too. Like, do you want to shout out some names?
Mon Comics, Lunch Money Comics, Mr. Akins from What's on the Comic Rack. Jesus, a ton of people coming. Dan's X-Men Comics, who doesn't have a channel, but we give him crap about it because he needs to start one.
He does. He did an awesome skit not that long ago that needed to be on YouTube.
He's done some amazing ones. Ryan the Colossus Collector. Boy, it's a whole big, huge. I think it's doing like 20 guys showing up. Ricky from All Sorts of Words. Yeah, so.
Right on.
We're going to scare people. Bunch of big, scary guys walking around.
Looks like.
And Kamikaze. Yeah.
I don't know if you meant Terrificon or NYCC, but that's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm definitely going to try to make it to one of those shows over there, one of the bigger ones, Heroes Con, Terrificon, or NYCC in the next couple of years, but it's going to be tough. It's a goal, but it's expensive, and I'm glad you're able to do that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's just it was somebody in our group said, "Hey, I'm going to be at this show," and we all started going, "Well, we could probably go." And so now next year they're trying to get all of the East Coasters to come over to SummerCon for the West Coast tour. So we'll be able to meet some of those guys. I think Mike's coming out here. Lunch Money Comics is coming out like 3 or 4 weeks after Terrificon. So you and I may get a chance to hang out with him too.
Right on. That's cool. I always love to meet people to do this because in my experience they're some of the nicest, coolest people to hang out with. So
right.
Speaking of nice, cool things that everyone loves.
I have thoughts on this.
I want to hear them. So I'll outlay the story real fast, and I want to hear your thoughts. So I'm still finishing up the last of my. I kind of finished up the. No one really cares, but I'll explain anyway. I read on stuff on Marvel Unlimited for the most part, and I'm kind of done with the Fall of X stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm finally done with Marvel Unlimited for a while. I'm gonna go read, the Energon verse stuff I haven't had a chance to read, and Something is Killing the Children had a new volume come out in trade, so I read that. I was reading some other stuff, and now I want to get back into the new X-Men stuff that relaunched. So I was like, oh, cool. Clearly, this will be an awesome experience with absolutely no controversy whatsoever, right? Turns out I was wrong because apparently, and I've heard conflicting stories on this, but apparently in the back of most of the X-Men comics, there's a QR code that you scan to get a bonus page or pages in some cases, I think.
Or the last pages.
Yeah, with an asterisk, right? Like, I mean, in a couple of instances I've seen, it's basically like, and it's Tom Brevoort says this in one article. It's kind of like that gallery you see at the back of X-Men 1 Deluxe where it shows the villains that are going to be in the next 20 issues or something like that, like Omega Red and Sentinels and all that kind of stuff. There's one page that's kind of like that where it's like basically a teaser image more than anything else, and then there's also pages that are more story related, right?
There was one that you showed that was story related that had
exactly
a lot of dialogue and everything, and I was like, oh, this is important.
Well, there's one, as far as I'm aware, there's one that actually has the first, it would be a cameo appearance of a new character too. So anyways, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. Is this technology going to be around forever? So like, so you're reading this comic and there's parts left out that someday you may not be able to read. Are they going to keep up this stuff online forever to be read? I mean, is it going to be reprinted in a trade paperback later on or something, or collected edition? Hopefully. I mean, just dumb idea. I mean, are they trying to drive more traffic to their website so they can say, look, we have this many visitors to our site or something? I'm trying to do something like that. I don't really know. I was trying to think of like what ulterior motives they might have for doing something like that. But what are your thoughts?
Well, and I don't. So first, I'll react to that. I don't think it's really to drive traffic to their site. I can totally understand why you'd say that. I just don't think that's it, personally. But and I want to, I'll get to some of the comments about this, which, like, Comic Shops brings up a good point here, and this is some good factual information that to put up front here. Each issue tells this full story. The bonus page is like a tease for the next issue, and they're only for the first issue of each title. That is the standard line that's being touted for this, and it's right. But there's one part of it where it's just the bonus page I almost kind of disagree with, and here's where I compare it to. This is a big thing in video games that people were upset about at the launch of the previous console generation. Is you would see, I used to be in the video game industry, so this is something that we talked about a lot. You'd have a disc that you would put in your console, and one of two things could happen on that disc. It could either have content on it that you couldn't access unless you unlocked it with like a DLC code, but it was on the disc already. And people were like, well, wait a minute. I'm paying money for this, at the time, mostly $60 game, and you're putting stuff on that disc, but I can't play it. And that's kind of similar to what reminds me of this. And so that's why I wanted to bring up that example. It's a little different. I understand that.
Right.
But
it's similar. You're putting something in a book and I can't see it.
Yeah. And I think this is just kind of like Marvel being like, hey, this is a cool idea. One thing that kind of irritates me about this is Tom Brevoort was saying that, oh, somebody brought up the idea that in the second printings we should include the page, which is kind of what Psycho Phil's saying here, and in the trades too, by the way, which I think they said they will put them in there. And he's like, oh, but somebody brought that idea up so late we couldn't do it for the issues that have already come out. And it's like, really, like, it took somebody like you guys didn't think that far ahead that like it would be kind of cool to include them in the second printing, because of like what Bigby said. In a few years, will this even direct to the website? And I mean, Marvel's got money; they can definitely maintain those servers for a few years. Yeah, like, okay, that's a good point. It's like a post-credit scene, and in some ways, that's true. There's one from I think it's Uncanny X-Men that I got kind of almost spoiled or was sharing around or whatever with people that wanted to see it. I asked them first, a couple people. And I won't share that here, but I will tell you that looking at it, it's not something that I'd want to have hidden in a page, because I'm pretty sure that it was created as part of the story and then they kicked it down the road, or at least that's what it seems like.
Is that the one that was really heavy dialogue about?
I think we're thinking the same one. I believe so.
Yeah. There was something about pillars in
it. There's something about pillars in it, but there's a really good I won't talk about that. There's a really good line in that X-Men comic, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
But yeah, no, it seemed fairly important, or okay, it added value to the story. Let's say that. I mean,
yes.
And fleshed out. It made it more. Why do this? It's something that you can. You're limiting access to something that adds to the enjoyment of the book. It's just for a gimmick,
right? That said, I will say that people freaked out about this maybe a little bit more than it deserved. Places like Twitter, people were like up in arms about this. And I don't think it's a great idea, but I get where they're going. But people are acting like this is a new thing too. I don't know if everybody, I would imagine most people that read Marvel Comics remember the AR, Marvel AR stuff where they did the augmented reality kind of thing. Like, this isn't really new for them to do something like this. This is maybe a little bit more, I guess I would say, like traditional comic book experience than that was. They've always wanted to try to merge digital experiences with comic books. Ever since they started offering the Marvel AR and then eventually the digital copies. And they've gone through a few changes on the iterations of how they do the digital copies. That doesn't really weird me out. But the problem is, you had people straight up saying like, well, I'm going to like torrented copies of these comic books just to see the extra page because I don't want to scan the QR code and you can argue with whether or not people have a reason to do that for those reasons. But they want the whole comic book for whatever reason.
Are people thinking they're trying to gather like personal data or something, or like a mailing list kind of thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't want to do that kind of stuff. And I have conflicted thoughts on that as well, but it just seems like a slippery slope for Marvel. And again, I don't have strong feelings on it, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the whole thing about like Marvel. Your bread and butter is print media, but you're promoting digital media. I don't know. There's that whole thing too. So,
oh, bad ideas coming after Jay for making that comment.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I think they know they did something kind of funny there. Steve says, I consider a story and a piece of art is complete all in one piece. Otherwise, it's like 98% complete. And like Chris was saying earlier, Comic Tropes here was saying that it's like a tease for the next issue. Again, in most cases that I've seen, that's true. And I'm okay with that. Like, if it's just like kind of like go to our website to watch the trailer for the next episode of this hot new show, right? Like, that's one thing. And that's kind of what it's like. But like that page I shared with Bigby, which I'm sorry, I'm not going to show it because I think it is a spoiler. That issue just came out.
Yeah,
and people might
but
still
it
be
is
interested.
fairly heavy dialogue in that page.
Well, and I believe a first appearance of a new type of character, basically, is shown in there, and I think that's kind of like what Tom Brevoort was talking about when he said that it's a little bit like the gallery of villains in the back of X-Men 1. But I think that's kind of what that's supposed to represent. But it is dialogue heavy. It is exposition heavy.
Speaking of which, when are people gonna finally realize that Omega Red first appears in X-Men 1 cover E?
A long time ago. But
it's
it's not an appearance
nobody
of the
cares though.
character in story though.
No, but it's cameo. Okay, but it's an image.
It's not even a cameo. It's
the first image. Okay, it's the first image of it.
Appearance.
Yeah.
However, I think it's notable for sure. Like
Yeah.
I think that if you're really a big fan of Omega Red, and when for whatever reason because of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when Omega Red first appearances were going for like $400, that book probably should have been doing better if people believed in that, because it's a small subset of the 8 million copies of X-Men 1 that had that in there.
Yeah, only the cover E has it in the fold out. Yep, the poster.
Yep. So next they'll make the Cure only accessible with a Marvel Unlimited account or with it, and that honestly, in a way, that kind of makes me like, if they did something like that, it would almost be better because they're trying to get people to use those apps. Because then I understand the reason why they're doing it more.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with it personally, but I understand the reason for it more. It's driving, I think Marvel Unlimited is a great service, for example. For a really reasonable price, in my opinion, you get access to a ton of comic books. I mean, a huge chunk of Marvel's catalog you can read. So I think that's a really, and also you can use their that same app to, if you redeem the digital codes, you can read the comic books there as well. So anyhow, that's what it is.
Digital media is a scary idea because, I mean, what was the service that just closed? Was it Redbox? One of the services that you could buy movies through just closed, and they wiped all of the data.
Okay.
So you had digital copies of movies that you owned that you no longer have access to.
And that stuff is definitely like the physical versus digital media debate is one that I'll always understand people that support physical media for those reasons. I get it. 100%. But at the same time, like, I also think that there's, as a big fan of digital that collects paper comic books too, I want my cake and I want to eat it too, I guess. Like, that's kind of what it comes down to. And hopefully they can serve both customers without alienating the other customer base. And I understand trying new things. Hopefully they figure out a way to make everybody happy.
I'm all for expanding the readership of books and everything, and making comics more accessible to another generation that might not read them in a physical form and everything. So I'm not against it at all. I'm just
right.
There's always questions, right?
So I want to move on because we have about the last chunk of the show. Hey, what's up, Niobe? How's it going? We have last chunk of the show here, so I do want to move along a little bit. By the way, if you're ever watching on the Rewind and you have thoughts on any of these topics, whether you're watching on Big B McFly, the Comic Book Guys channel, or my channel, or if you're watching on the EXP's various channels that we stream to, like their Instagram, their Facebook, their Twitch, maybe someday again their YouTube channel when Dan Wickline's awesome Kickstarter doesn't break the platform. Dan, I'm not calling you out, Dan.
Wasn't his fault.
No, that was a joke he made in reference to it. He's like, "Oh, I guess I broke the channel." That said, we are going to talk about some Deadpool and Wolverine stuff for the remainder of the show. So if you're kind of done watching the main portion of the show because you haven't seen the movie yet, there will be some spoilers. Hey, leave those comments down below on any of those channels where you might be watching with any of your thoughts about, the QR codes and digital comic books, what conventions you're going to, your thoughts on original art, the Discord servers you like to go to, any of the things we've talked about tonight, right? We'd love to see your information about that and your comments about that.
Yeah, we can also like reference that, and Bronze and I talk about a lot of the stuff that's talked about that way to each other, and use it for future ideas for talking about on the show, or comments and stuff that we want to talk about. So yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
awesome to hear from you guys. And like we said, if you're watching on Bronze's channel, sub me. If you're watching on my channel, sub Bronze.
And make sure either way the
And the
EXP has
EXP.
a lot of great content.
Yes.
And we're making some jokes about what's going on with the YouTube situation. It's not funny though. It's actually really kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
And by the way, full disclosure, they got, because of a specific situation, and I won't get into the details of it, they got this kind of temporary inability to go live. I got a community strike for it. Like if I get another one in the next 90 days, then I can actually have my channel deleted basically from YouTube, demonetized. So pretty much what we're going to get to. Hang on one second. Big B, can you kind of take over?
Yeah, I can take over. Yeah, if you guys were a fly on the wall after our last show ended, you would have, it was probably quite amusing, where Bronze and I, we both were talking, and we were like, great show. And then we were with Jay backstage, and then we signed off. Everybody said goodbye to each other and signed off. And immediately Bronze and I are calling each other like, what the literal heck is going on? Yeah, we didn't even realize what had happened with inadvertently posting a link to something that had caused some problems. So that's what Bronze is talking about. But yeah, we had to go through all kinds of fun hoops and jump through all that stuff. So I guess we're going to rank every cameo in a tier list. That's going to be interesting. That's what Bronze is talking about anyway. So filling the dead air. I don't know what's going on with Bronze. Possibly he's back. Here we are. He's back.
I heard a knock, and I was just trying to.
I did too.
My wife. Oh, you heard that over the mic. Okay, so
yeah. Do you have Frank Cho's ghost in your house now?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe the knock is back. So, okay. He's got a knocking and pinging in his house. Go see a mechanic about that. But no one's fault. Just a weird thing that happened. Yeah, Jay, that's true. I don't know. Can I highlight comments? I can. Look at that. I can even highlight comments.
I have to go take care of something for about 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I'm gonna. Want me to share the screen for you so you can talk about this?
Sure. You want to just kind of lead into it, and I can talk about it, or share it, or you can hide it, and I can just keep talking. And
you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'll be right back.
All right, so Daphne King confirming Deadpool and Wolverine's X-23 is from Logan and reveals what happened to the character after the movie. So, gosh, I read this article. I can't scroll through this because he's got it locked down there. But she was saying that that she is the exact same character from the Logan movie. It's not a variant, and that. She was with the group of young mutants after the Logan movie for quite a while, and then the TVA came and scooped her up and put her into the void. So that's where she's been for quite some time. So I don't know what his other plans were for talking about cameos here. So it's Cyclops asking for help is what Katie says. It's the Cyclops cosplayer that Chris has locked up in the closet. Steve says Pizza Man. So I'll relate the Frank Cho ghost joke since we have some time to fill. So when we were talking to Frank Cho at SummerCon, he said he was a big believer in the paranormal, and he has a significant other that is a sensitive to spiritual type stuff. And the first time she came over to his house, she said, "Has anything weird or bad ever happened in this house? I get a weird feeling in here." And he's like, "Nothing that I know of." He said, he always said he felt weird when he was in the basement area, the laundry room basement area of his house, but he just said he got some weird vibes. And so they were watching a movie, and she, at one point, I believe she said that she felt someone touching her shoulder, and she was like, "Oh, that's nice. Frank's putting his hand on my shoulder." And she looked over, and Frank had his hands in his lap. And so that freaked her out pretty big, and she let him know. And later on, she was upstairs doing laundry for him, or putting away laundry, and she heard a knocking in the hallway, and she went outside, and no one was there. And she came downstairs, and she said, was that you knocking?" And he's like, he's downstairs diligently doing his artwork. He's like, "What? I've been like hyper focused on doing art. Why would I be upstairs knocking on the doors or walls of my own house? I feel like I can freely go into any room I want to." And so she was quite freaked out about the whole situation. So later on, he said she had gone back to her place, and he had worked a long time on doing some art, and was completely exhausted. He's a night owl, as a lot of artists are, and he had just gone to bed, and he started hearing the knocking coming down the hallway. And he said for a second there, the hair on the back of his neck stood up, and then he said he sat up and he looked out the hallway, and he said, "This is my house. I own it, and I'm not going to deal with this. So you can just leave." And he said he laid down and just kind of covered his head. And he said he's never heard anything since.
Frank Cho story?
The Frank Cho ghost story. Yes.
Nice. I'm back. All right.
Well, all right. Good to have you back. I briefly went over the Daphne Keane, what I remembered of reading it. I wasn't able to scroll, but she said she was from the X-23, from the Logan movie character. She had hung out with the kids, right? And then after the movie, her character had hung out with the other kids for a while, and then the TVA scooped her up and put her into the Void. Is that?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it was just kind of, this is not really a huge deal or that surprising to most people, but it is confirmation, which is nice to see. Sorry, I'm kind of still listening to the developing situation here, so I'm kind of half paying attention.
Okay.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, we were talking about last week some of the ins and outs of what is and isn't canon to this storyline. Yeah. Okay.
We got people talking about ghost stories in the chat now.
Oh, nice. Well, I just hop back in. So if you need to talk about any of that stuff, by all means,
no, I
need to pull up the next part here, actually.
Jay's wife says she swears he came home from work one night and had a conversation with her when he wasn't there. And Space Case says he heard a Bigfoot knock last time he was out camping on his family's land. Bigfoot knocks, that's a thing. Kind of a creepy thing to be hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind
and Frank Cho is a big Bigfoot fan, by the way, too.
Huge.
So,
in fact, he drew Sasquatch on his I think it's Patreon, or his YouTube channel too.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Instagram, he put pictures of Sasquatch on Instagram as well.
Yeah,
and we were trying to encourage him to do a what's the word I'm looking for? Many different stories in one place.
Anthology.
An anthology series about the paranormal.
Yeah. Okie doke. Let's see here. So yeah, this was kind of part of one of 4 mini stories about Deadpool Wolverine. It's just that one little item I was going to share. And the next one, this is kind of interesting. This has to do with the celebrities that were asked or not asked to come back and do cameos, which is something I was curious about. And I don't know why this picture didn't load. Maybe this article's changed since I originally saved it off. But this has to do with Kevin Nash. not coming back from his character that was featured in Thomas Jane's Punisher, which was the Russian.
Right.
Which, yeah, again, by the way, we're in the spoiler territory. Obviously, I've already said that. I just want to make sure I throw that out there one more time because this, it's a very minor thing, but the Russian is visible in a few of the shots from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Everyone pointed out he does not look like. In fact, I think some people didn't even know who it was because he doesn't look like that character. He just has the red striped shirt.
Just a shirt, right? I think he still has the blood stain from where he got stabbed.
That's great. I wonder what that character did to end up in the void.
Right.
Nothing. That's the real answer. Yeah. So this article, this is from Cinema Blend, goes on to say, not all the sequel's live-action comic characters were direct reprisals from past projects. Cassandra Nova's squad boasts several recast villains, including famed Punisher foe the Russian, who was portrayed by WWE icon Kevin Nash in the 2004 film. So he said, that looks nothing like the character I played. That looks nothing like the Russian. It looks like they gave somebody a favor. That's pretty funny to me. I love when people say, oh, Nash is trolling for movie parts. Hey guys, again, man, I'm 65 years old. What do you think I'm doing? Yeah, what I want to do is go. He basically talks about being on a movie set. He makes it pretty clear too that he didn't get asked to come back. And that's kind of what I was curious about, or at least he either makes it clear that he wasn't asked to come back or that perhaps he wasn't offered enough money to come back. I guess you can't really say for sure.
Right.
Yes, this is another one I was going to talk about. Kevin Durant for the Blob would have been cool.
We kind of talked about that before, that it was a little disappointing that they didn't use a lot of the original actors for those parts.
Well, and I mean, you have Psylocke not being played by Olivia Munn. There is a Bullseye variant who has like the Bullseye tattoo, body modification crosshair thing on his forehead. Very clearly not Colin Farrell.
Right.
Lady Deathstrike, Azazel, Toad, several people not played by the original people. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just a very large guy otherwise, right? He doesn't really look like the Blob. He's wearing the Blob costume.
The gatekeeper, right?
Yeah. So I've heard it wasn't Ray Park, but
it looked a lot like him, but I'd also heard that it wasn't. So
this is one of the ones I've heard the most conflictions on, and it's weird because at least for a while IMDb wasn't showing the correct credits, and I don't know if that was like a intentional thing to keep some of the surprises, or if that was, I don't know what that was, but the weird part to me here is that there's several actors in this film that should have been in this film that weren't, and some of those, Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut is kind of probably the most obvious example because he's literally a plot element in the story.
Right.
Whereas most of these guys aren't, and gals, of course. But it's just strange. Like, okay, maybe Vinnie Jones didn't have the money or the schedule free or whatever to do this. Maybe that's totally fair. But all of these, like, I don't know who played Azazel in the films, but I can't imagine that he wasn't able to come back, or that, again, any one or two of these, no problem. Furthermore, it kind of is adding up to the impression that some of these people weren't even asked to come back, which is weird to me when you're talking about the legacy and the love letter that's in the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene for all the Fox stuff. So it's just like, what? Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Kamikaze. She does have a battle going on right now, or did. So I don't know if she's recovered or not, but probably during the time of filming, that would have been bad timing. I'm sure that's a really good point. I totally forgot about that too. Good call. But yeah, there's a lot of people that could have been in this movie, and then you have that love letter to the Fox verse stuff and the 20th century Fox movies, the Fantastic Four. All these rumors abound about an extended cut that's going to have some of these things in them, but then some of these characters aren't even played by the same people. Oh, geez. I IMDb says someone else, but then again, I saw Kelly who was back as Lady Deathstrike, and that you saw that she was. Where did you see that she was back though? And that Azazel was the same guy. It's really I've heard Azazel wasn't the same guy. And some of this it should be clearer than this, right? There shouldn't be any confusion. But I'm pretty sure that those people were not the original cast members.
Clear as mud.
Yeah, maybe there's been some clarification since the last time I looked into this, though. That would be awesome, actually.
Yeah. Sounds like we're going to do some digging for next show.
Yeah. And then, all that's to say, the bigger thing I wanted to talk about here, let me get my link for this, is Sean.
$1 billion. No.
Sean Levy talking about some of the behind-the-scenes juicy gossip, which we have to do pretty quickly because I want to try to keep us as close as I can to the 2-hour mark. So this is from Variety, and we're going to kind of talk about the main cameos here for sure. So obviously Wesley Snipes, Jennifer Garner, Channing Tatum, and Chris Evans are kind of the big four there, right? Let me see here. It's been a while since I looked at this article. Sorry. How do they pitch Wesley Snipes returning as Blade? And you can kind of go and read this article in Variety. I highly recommend it. But apparently it was just Ryan reaching out to Wesley Snipes, according to Sean. I think it's Levy. Sorry if it's Levi. But yeah, obviously they worked together in the Blade franchise before, and that's kind of notorious because it was not a very well-liked movie. Let's put it that much, that way.
I actually saw an interview with Wesley talking about getting the call to ask to come back. It was interesting. Yeah. Did
it add any context to this?
He just said, when you see the phone ringing from Ryan Reynolds, you answer it. And he said, "Hey, I got a great idea for the movie. It's going to have a lot of this stuff with the early Fox characters." And he said, "I'd love to have you come back." And Wesley was like, "There's no way they're going to have me back." And he's like, "I can make it happen." And he's like, "If you can make it happen, then sure, I'll come." And he's like, "But I don't think it's going to happen." And he said, next thing he knew, he got a phone call. And he said, "All right, be here at this time for shooting starts at X time."
It was definitely one of the more genuine surprises for me because luckily it wasn't spoiled. And it's obviously fun. I'm a big, I remember sneaking in to see the original Blade when I was underage at a movie theater and being not sneaking in. I was able to buy a ticket and they didn't question me. So I was able to get in, but I technically shouldn't have been there. But I didn't think this is cool. Where does the line, "There's only one Blade, there will only ever be one Blade," come from? It was a scripted line, which is kind of funny. And they did a bunch of different iterations of that and then went with the fourth wall break because obviously we have a Blade project pending in the MCU. And then I've heard rumors, and at this point, as far as I know, they're just rumors, that his reaction is so intense that they're actually potentially considering doing something with Wesley Snipes' Blade again. And that kind of leads into this, which is Channing Tatum as Gambit. And this has been the talk I've seen in a lot of people, from a lot of people, Gambit about ready to make a name for himself kind of stuff is kind of the conversation I've seen going around a lot. And whether or not Channing Tatum should come back as Gambit in future X-related projects or his standalone movie or something like that, right? How do you feel about his portrayal and him coming back?
I think if they clean up his dialogue, I think his dialogue was a little hard to understand. But
it's not like in Minions did his dialect coaching. That's what.
Yes, Ryan. No, I thought I've seen some of the intense training he did and everything to get into the role, and he obviously very much wanted to play that character. So I thought I wouldn't be opposed. I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I know some people weren't fans, but I think the way that the costume as it's drawn it's hard to portray that in real life and make it look completely normal. So it kind of lends itself to making him look thicker.
Well, and I mean, that's been drawn.
He's
so
not a
different ways,
thick
too.
guy, right? I mean,
He's buff. I mean, like,
yeah.
But
So-
his neck, I think his neck was a lot of what made him look thicker. But I mean, that's kind of with what you're talking about, the costume and
the black, with that black neck guard that comes up and then it comes up over the sides of his cheeks and down,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of hard to make that play right. So
yeah. I don't know.
what do you think?
I'm torn. Like, I don't really want to see, and I've said this many times. Sure, for like Secret Wars like things or things where you're having like crossover universes, I don't mind seeing a version of him come back.
Right.
I don't really want to see any of these people we've seen so far be the MCU version of their characters, like the
even Hugh Jackman, you said, right?
Version. What's that?
Even Hugh Jackman, you said you don't want that.
Yeah. I mean,
to be the
again,
616
Secret
Wolverine.
Wars, that kind of stuff, great. I don't want to see him be the 616's Wolverine.
Till he's 90.
What?
Till he's 90.
Oh, till he's 90. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, but then, they gave themselves the out too, where it's like, oh, we'll be seeing it again, right? Probably not. I mean, that's not even the end of the movie. I know that, but still. I think
that was, they said that was about his character development. That
okay.
Because he was saying that when he was an X-Man, he didn't want to be part of the group. And then he learns that he turns around and he goes, you know what? Yeah, we'll hang out with you and your friends. So
yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see how this all develops. Like, I'm open. Like Channing, I think he did the time to earn the character. I'll put it that way.
Have you seen the workout routine stuff with him?
A little bit,
doing all the martial arts training and everything. Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. It's definitely something where I think he's put in the hard work. He's been, but he also got the film, so
right.
I don't know. I can go either way, I guess.
He got to play the character on the big screen. Either way, it's going to be all right. But
yeah. Everybody knows about the Wolverine. This was kind of a huge news story. I guess the biggest thing is that he said yes right away. Like, that's, he knew it would be subversive and playful. It's one of the most fun moments in the movie. I feel bad for everybody like myself that didn't get to see it without any knowledge that it was going to happen. I mean, there were a lot of rumors he was going to be in the movie as a variant. That I remember those going back months.
There's a lot of rumors about people that we didn't see, like
that's true.
Harry Potter was going to be one.
Yeah. And then also on top of that, a lot of rumors that Henry Cavill is now, they've, because of the reaction, they want him as the MCU Wolverine, for example. This is the one that I wanted to talk about the most, believe it or not, because this was such a big deal leading up to this movie. Was there ever truth to the Taylor Swift cameo rumors? Sean says that was one of the loudest rumors that came out of nowhere. It was never true. Thank you, internet, for building such a smokescreen of rumors and half-truths that no one ever knew what was actually going to happen. Yeah, that's so refreshing to see. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I think it would have been fun to have her as Dazzler because it makes sense, but
right.
Yeah. My biggest surprise about all that is that they weren't able to get her in there after all the buzz.
Right? Do you think
like, well, you want to come in and shoot a day?
Yeah. Can you just come in and be the lounge singer in the patch scene, or whatever,
Yeah. He talks about the joke about the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner divorce. I mean,
I'm sorry, don't be. That was Daredevil dead. I'm sorry, don't be. Or it's okay. That's pretty funny.
I guess this is the part of that I wanted to talk about. So since he's name checked, was Ben Affleck ever in talks to return as Daredevil? And they say early on when we were looking at the 70 name menu of Marvel characters, Daredevil was on one of those lists, but never since the earliest of those conversations was he outreached to appear. they said we made contact with everyone featured in the Fox tribute reel halfway through our end credits. And that's dozens of actors who've been part of that legacy. So they made contact with every single one of them. But I don't think they showed, it's not like they showed every character in that reel.
No, they didn't.
Because the other one, did they talk about in this article? Let me see here. So the other thing that's come out is Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider, was in discussions.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big. They don't talk about this article, so I'm just going to remove that. And there was one other one too that I'm blanking on now. That has been, and there's rumors the Nick Cage thing might appear in the extended cut. I don't know if that's true. I also saw that they were turned off by the Flash backlash to his appearance in that movie. The people were not very happy about the way he looked in the Infinite Earth scene where you get to see him fighting with like a giant spider, I think. Some giant spider creatures.
Well, because he tried out for Superman at one point.
He was attached to the pre-production for Tim Burton's Superman.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, and this was the other one. This is the other one I was going to mention. Thank you. You reminded me. RDJ was supposed to be in the Happy Hogan scene, and I've even heard it so far as the original Avengers were supposed to be in that scene.
Oh, really?
And I even heard one step further that there was supposed to be a small fight between them in that scene. And there's one other part of that too that leaked out. I'm trying to remember what it is right now. I'm so sorry. Something happened. My brain is just in a different place right now. And then with the timing of the RDJ Doom announcement, I think that had some stuff to do with him not appearing in the film, from what I understand, but also maybe the legacy part of it as well.
Okay.
They had plenty of cameos. Blade was the biggest surprise for me since he was New Line, so I never. Yeah, and he also, it's kind of cool that he broke a couple records for comic book movie stuff.
He took one away from Hugh.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That I've heard that too. But there's so much disinformation, like Sean Levy was saying in this article. There's so much smokescreen. It's kind of hard to say what's true and what's not unless I see it confirmed by like him or Kevin Feige or even Ryan Reynolds at this point.
I had seen just recently they said that there's a leak of the Kang Dynasty script, and that was pretty interesting. And Nick Cage, Ghost Rider, was in that.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's where some of the stuff comes from too. Maybe there's some of that going on. All
the Spideys from the last Spidey movie, Nick Cage, Ghost Rider, a whole bunch of stuff on that. So,
and I mean, you can only imagine that, like kind of Chris was saying here, that Secret Wars, kind of with that in mind, there's probably a lot of stuff that's going to come out as part of that as well.
Right.
Hey, real fast, I just want to take one more quick opportunity to get everybody a chance to win some free trade paperbacks and some comic books. I'll throw in inside of that as well. X-Men Deadly Genesis and Fantastic Four, who we're just talking about. That is the authoritative action trade. You got a chance to win both of those. All you got to do is do hashtag D23 in chat. We will be doing that drawing here in literally just a couple of minutes probably. So make sure you go do hashtag 23 if you want to win some stuff. If you do win, please make sure you DM me or Big B or something like that after the show so we can get your shipping information. That has held up a couple of those orders, unfortunately. So
make sure you get your stuff.
Yeah, and again, that stuff will be going out soon. Now that I've got all that claim sale stuff wrapped up. Let's see. So what else is going on? Everything. That's everything I could think of to talk about besides the giveaway. What else you got going on?
Lots of work.
You're working.
Lots of my 12-hour shifts that turn into 14-hour shifts. That's been fun. I did get to be the bragging rights that my crew for the day, we outperformed Sunday's crew by 33%. So
nice.
Yeah, we knocked it out of the park today.
Nice. That's awesome. You got Terrificon coming up.
I
Which is
do
gonna
have
be huge for you.
Terrificon coming up, and then we're gonna it's gonna be another race back to the computer to see if I can make it
Yeah, so
for next week's show.
may or may not be here next week. I'm giving him a free pass if he wants to bow out, because he will be flying back from, if there's any kind of delay or something, especially.
Right.
If there's no delay, yeah, it's possible, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Tune in to find out.
Cool.
So they had to be here just to prevent me from losing 30 subscribers, as you predicted.
Absolutely.
It's like, if we broadcast on your show, on your channel, and you're not there, you might lose 30 subscribers.
Yeah, I was worried that he was gonna lose the big B bump on his own channel, basically.
Which, hey, I got a few new subscribers from last time, so thank you for
that's
people
awesome.
who jumped over and subbed up to me. So
Glad to
much
hear it.
appreciated.
Glad to hear it. And then I will go and echo that sentiment, folks. One last time, if you're not subscribed over on Big B's channel, link in the description below to subscribe to his YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the EXP, there's a link in the description for that as well. You can go check that out. Follow all of us on Instagram. You can follow me and EXP on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not sure. Are you on any of those other platforms, by the way?
I do have a Facebook that I'm slowly building. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook under Big B McFly.
Cool. I need to start tagging you there then for stuff. Atting you or whatever. But yeah, go ahead and follow those channels.
I know my reels get thrown over there. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm on Threads, and I think EXP is, and all that fun stuff too. So anywhere you can consume social media content, except for I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat. That's where I draw the line. I know. But the EXP is on TikTok, so you can go follow them there.
There you go.
That actually was a pretty cool sequence. I'm not gonna lie. That was fun. That was almost up there with the Quicksilver sequences from the Fox stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna do this drawing now. We got 14 entries. Good luck, everybody, and hopefully you win some free comic books. Good luck.
Who will it be?
Who shall win? Will it be Hector Ortiz? Nice. Congratulations, Hector. Yeah, I don't know that I have your shipping information, so if you could hit me up on any of those places I just talked about, that would be awesome, so we can get you your free stuff. We did not show any ads this week for
we
EXP
didn't do
content.
our art thing either. Are we holding off on that for right now?
Yeah, I wanted to wait for you to be back, and I was up until the last minute thinking you weren't going to be here. So we'll have extra art saved up for next show, and hopefully we'll have our
or the
plan
show after that
for what we're doing. If you're at that show, I'll show art either way, but we'll talk about the plans next time you're on the show.
All right.
For what we're going to do at the end of the year, for a little contest for people to win some free stuff for sharing their community artwork with us.
For sure.
I just wanted to say, definitely make sure you go sub up the XP for some fantastic content over there. Tomorrow, I know the only show I know off the top of my head for sure, because I have a hard time remembering their schedule, you'll have Minute to Skim It available on some of their services they're still streaming on right now, where you can check out some quick reviews of comic books coming out for New Comic Book Day. I always love that show because it's like they take a quick look at the comic books and they give you their gut reaction to them. It's really fun. And I believe because with the stuff going with YouTube, I'm not even 100% sure, but definitely go check out and subscribe to those channels so you can be notified when they are doing it. Thank you so much, Jay. I didn't know if Mint Hunter was going to do it because they're not on YouTube, but he's probably doing it on his own channel, I'm assuming too. Maybe, I don't know. And kicking with Henri. But yeah, all kinds of great content creators and comic sale shows and original art and comic book content over on the EXP. So yes, they did break $1 billion too. That's a good point. That's something I should have mentioned during the news segment. They're finally over the global 1 billion mark for Deadpool Wolverine. So very cool.
And what was it? Somebody was saying that it's like surpassed like most of the post Endgame movies, like almost all of them together.
I think so. I do know that I think a Blake Lively movie finally knocked them off the #1 spot, though. Is that maybe it was a different actor? I can't remember what movie it is, but I think they finally got knocked out of the #1 spot. Okay, cool. So it's Kyle and Miss Jen. I'm going to skim it this week. So yeah, definitely go check that out too. I like that show a lot. When I get a chance to catch it, I'm always very happy. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for us. You'll hopefully see both of us back next week for another show. If not, I'll be here to hold it down for sure. And
don't unsubscribe just because you see bronze on my channel. That's just don't do that.
Definitely don't do that. All right, folks. I'm gonna get out of here and deal with the thing I need to deal with. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a great night, everybody.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.